So what initially appeared to be a very unique and compelling film turned out to be a story that didn't have any direction and the depth of a kitchen sink. It was something that I was really hoping for. The trailer looked so fun, and it looked like a unique story that we don't see very often, at least here in the States. And Kajol is amazing. And so I was like, well, this is clearly a winner. And we walked into the theater, and it was empty. And I was like, please, God, don't let this suck. Like, this could still be good. The movie starts, and it cuts right into something you see in the commercial, and you're like, okay, cool. We're just jumping right into this thing. And then the movie decides to flash back, and that's an hour of the film. This flashback of her life with her son. I understand the importance of developing that backstory and to give us something to anchor into, but I don't know that I would have been entirely lost emotionally without that backstory. It's like, even if you take all that away, I still would have been buying into the premise of Kajol and her son.
Yeah, they only needed to show one or two of the very poignant scenes, and you get it. Like, we all understand the importance and closeness of a mother-son relationship, especially in this context.
Yes.
We don't need an hour.
At a certain point, I felt like turning to ACHARA and going, I thought we bought a ticket to a film about a woman who's in college. And I just held my tongue because I'm thinking, well, maybe ACHARA's enjoying this, and I don't want to ruin her experience, so I'm just going to keep it together. And that was at 20 minutes in. At 45 minutes, I couldn't hold back, and I'm like, didn't we pay for a ticket to watch a movie about a woman in college? And you're like, yeah, I thought the same thing. And I'm like, okay, so I'm not alone here. And it took, and so when it finally got to the present day, it still took a while to get to the part where she goes to college. And I'm like, I don't understand. Like, that's what was advertised in the commercial, was she goes to college to go back to school. Then there's like this conflict with her son, and like they're both at school and whatnot. And there's a lot of comedic potential there, and it was barely explored in the film. In fact, a lot of what should have been explored on camera was talked about off camera. It's like, no, like, you showed me all this stuff, show me that. That's what I paid for.
Exactly. Like, I wanted to see more of her struggles in school, like how she was coping with suddenly being back in school after 22 years. And a lot of the focus was just on her relationship with her son, which is fine, but I didn't want that to be like the forefront of the story. I wanted there to be more.
It seems like a lot of good ideas were kind of left on the table in favor of this hour-long backstory. Like, if you trim that down to the most essential 15 minutes, like the stuff with her husband, which I would have completely done differently if it was up to me. For some reason, they did it in this particular way. There was this fear. I have no qualms about sharing anything about the plot at this point, but there was, because it's all in the first hour. So there's this fear that the son's father has that he's gonna die at an early age because everyone else in his family does as well. And I'm like, what does this have to do with the movie? He leaves, he abandons his family because of that. And I'm like, okay, so that explains why she's a single mom, but I'm like, there are so many more simple ways that you could have established why she's by herself.
Yeah.
Much simpler ways, much quicker ways. It could have been that she was pregnant and he realized he didn't want to be a dad and took off for a while.
Yeah.
It could have been anything. And then, but they went through this whole long diatribe of all these things, and I'm like, really? Like, this is a whole hour of the film you're taking up here for this that doesn't really have any effect or bearing in the rest of the movie. That being said, there are positive aspects to the film that I did appreciate. I just wish this was executed differently. Number one, a big theme was her ability to be without her former husband. It only showed itself momentarily, and I was like, no, I want it to be more than a cursory glance at that theme. I want that to be a bigger part of the movie where people doubt her, perhaps, that she can't do it on her own, and then she shows everyone, yeah, I can do it on my own. There's the relationship with her son, and she's this overbearing helicopter mom, and at a certain point, the son's like, I need to take a step back so that you can find yourself, and I like that theme too.
Yeah. It
just came really late in the film. It was almost like the story forgot that that's what it was about, and then it realized in the last 10 minutes, like, oh, that's right, this is what the movie is. And then it came back to that, and I'm like, okay, well. So there were some cool themes, but overall, it just didn't quite gel together in an effective way that I was hoping for.
Yeah, I kind of wished as well that she'd done more of her own accord. When she joined the play, it was because, you know, she was following her son and then she got roped into it.
Right.
But then when he left, she decided to stay, which I guess was her choice. But I wish she had done more things in addition to that, which were, you know, her choice, her decision, her desire to grow and become a better person. You know?
In defense of the movie there, I would say that that was the missing thing for her, was like that was her passion that was established in the first hour of the film.
Yeah.
And she rediscovered it thanks to her son's, thanks to circumstances. She discovered it again. And by the end of the story, you see like, oh, that's what she's returning to. She's returning to form, which is, you know, fun and all.
And lovely.
But by the time, okay, so in the trailer they advertise this moment where she slaps her son.
Yeah.
And she just has this like murderous look in her eyes. And I was waiting for that moment. And when it finally came, I was disinterested in the movie. And that's not what should have happened. Now, that being said, I recognize the possibility that this movie has a lot of value for people who grew up with Kajol, because it shows her in her youthful years, you know, singing and participating in the music video and whatnot. And I'm sure that there's a lot of people who are like, oh my God, this is like when I grew up watching her. It's like
vintage Kajol.
It's vintage, it's throwback. And it's like, I get that, but as someone who didn't grow up with Kajol, it's like that was very meaningless to me. Like I was losing interest in the story fast. I wanted to get back to the plot that was advertised to me in the trailer. It didn't carry through on its promise. It let me down.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the themes, and I would love to see a different, shorter version of this movie. And I'd like to see some of the deleted scenes from the college stuff. Like, I want that movie, not what was given to us.
Yeah, it felt very like
just commercial.
Yeah, commercial and really cheesy. And while I do enjoy cheese, it's like it turned into a big fat stinky fondue at certain points, and I was just like, this is too much cheese. I've become lactose intolerant. Like, tone it back a little bit.
I didn't mind that so much. Like, I mean, the film established its tone pretty early on in terms of like, this is a kind of a cheesy film. So I was okay with it more than you, which is very ironic.
It's weird because usually I love the cheese, but it just, I don't know, it just crossed the threshold for me, and I was like, this is too much.
Right. I mean, there were certain moments where it was getting quite big, but I was like, that's fine. It would bother me more than, and I know that people are going to shit on me for this one, but like, there was too much music in that first hour. Like, it just was. I'm fine with the amount of music, but spread it out, man. Like, it was like the whole first hour and 10 minutes was almost wall-to-wall music, and I'm like, it's not like the songs are carrying the film forward. They're literally just songs.
Like set pieces.
Exactly. And the first song that actually meant something was the song you hear in the trailer where dude is singing about his mom and how she's like on top of him. Spoiler coming right now. But
we've done a lot of spoilers.
We have,
already.
but we haven't really okay. So hold on. Let me say my rating, and then I'll go into the spoiler. So my rating for this film is 2 out of 5. Really 2.5 out of 5.
Yeah, me too. 2.5.
I would say that I'm giving it that half because it had themes that I appreciated, and it explored it minutely enough that I'm like, okay, I'll give it to them. I give it a 2 because I just was upset, but I wouldn't give it a 1 because I didn't hate it.
No, I mean, there were certainly lovely things. I did get emotional during certain scenes between Kajol and her son.
Yeah.
And I thought that Kajol was extremely charismatic and charming and entertaining to watch. So you got to give it to her that in a pretty mediocre movie, she made it okay.
Right.
I would give it a 2.5 out of 5 stars as well.
On a scale of Shape of Water to a delicious hamburger, I would give it expired kale.
Oh!
You know, it's like I would still eat it. It's not gonna kill you. It's like it's good for you, but it's like it's kind of old. Okay, kale is not really yummy to begin with.
Yeah. Wow.
Now it's expired. Still has nutrients though, right? Again, I really like Kajol. I appreciate what she brings and how she commits. It got a little big here sometimes, but I still appreciate her presence. She's beautiful. She is so beautiful and so youthful that I think it actually took away from the film a little bit, because there were certain moments where I was like, she does not, even if she doesn't look old enough to be his mom.
Yeah.
She just doesn't. She looks like she could be his older sister at most, but like, to say that she's his mother it feels like a stretch sometimes because she looks like she's no more than 37 years old. So if that, I would say younger. You guys, if you watched it, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And that's it. Spoiler now.
Spoilers.
Okay, so the one spoiler I wanted to say was, I don't understand why he couldn't sing at the end of the movie.
No, okay.
Because he was singing his guitar thing.
Okay. He was doing that on purpose. His friend said to the mom, why is he singing so badly? And then she said, he's not singing, he's calling to me. It was like a little thing that they did. Like when she was upset with him that one time, he played that song on the piano and she was like, oh, if you're gonna play it properly. And then she plays it. And it's his way of like, you know.
But he didn't play it bad the first time he played it in the movie?
No, but he's doing it on purpose to make sure that she hears it and she comes back.
I think that's a little bit contrived. I think that he could have played it just fine.
And she would have come.
And she would have come back anyway. And
yeah,
I was on the fence about the rule about her not being allowed because of her age. But I mean, I guess it worked.
It was kind of a plot device, but I understand they're all, you know, they need a moment in the movie where it's like, oh no, the hero loses it all or whatever.
Yeah, I think that what I did like about that scene, even though it came out of left field, like what I did like about that scene was the way it was handled in the room where the college people are trying to fight for her. And they're like, we can't do anything about this. And the way the two actors opposite of the college people...
They were so good.
They were very real. And I'm like...
So real.
I feel like I experienced those people.
I've met those people.
Like, I experienced those people at the airport.
Yep.
While I was in India, when we missed our flight. I'm like, those people are real, man.
So real.
And so I gotta give it to them for that. That's it, you guys. Those are my feelings. Those are our feelings. And I would love to hear your feelings on the film. I know that some of you are going to be upset that we watched this instead of other Indian films, but I was genuinely excited to watch this.
Really.
Like, I really wanted to see this film. Independent of, like, sharing my opinion with you guys, like, I just had a personal interest in this because it looked like a fun movie, and then it wasn't.
Wah, wah, wah.
So, 2.5 stars. Somewhere, I'm going to give it 2.25. That's my final score.
I'll give it 2.5. I'll be kind.
Yeah, so that quarter is for the themes. You guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us. Love you all. Hopefully you enjoyed the film more than we did, because it actually makes me happy when I've discovered there's a film I didn't like, with the exception being The Shape of Water. I like it when there's a film I didn't like that other people managed to enjoy anyway, because that means that it wasn't like a complete waste.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so hopefully some of you guys enjoyed the film. Let us know in the comments below. Thanks so much. I'm Jaby KOAY. This is
ACHARA.
Peace out.